Buckeyes have got the roster. The Buckeyes have looked brilliant. The Buckeyes were already good, and then they added transfers and Quinshawn Judkins, and then they get Jeremiah Smith, and they add the defense. They got everything. But they ain't played anybody other than Iowa. And now we get to see as they travel to Oregon, to Eugene. Huge game, exciting game for the Ducks to get. And we're going to find out a little bit about the Buckeyes. Are they as good as they look? But I want to put it on this. And tell me if I'm wrong, because I don't know. And Pat, you were at the Ohio State game last week. I watch interviews with Ryan Day. And Ryan Day's always been a very serious guy, I think. He's a serious, this is not, gregarious public interview guy. But, so he's been a serious coach. But he looks tense. Like, this guy has done everything but win it, and he's lost. He's had seasons go under on a single play, a field goal sailing this way, like the smallest of margins that you could have that would put a guy who's unbelievably successful, an incredible recruiter, and a tremendous coach to somehow have not completely won over his fan base. And it's like, I see this guy who's just tense, everything's just we got to do more, we got to do more. And some of this is just the bounce of the ball. Pat, is Ryan Day more nervous or tense or just serious than ever? Or am I just seeing something that isn't really there and he was always this way, or he's not like that once to turn off these cameras? He just, the way he answers questions is they're going to about to plan the invasion of Normandy. Everything, I got men's lives in my hands here, not we have to execute on every single play here to beat Iowa.
Yeah. I sat down with him for about 45 minutes in the summer, and he was pretty serious then too. I think you're correct that that's just kind of who he is. It's not like sitting down with Sonny Dykes, okay, where you're just going to crack jokes at each other for 10 minutes before you even start talking ball. So I think that is his natural disposition. After the Iowa game seemed like a continuation of that. And if I had to guess, I'd say, yeah, he's probably more tense and more nervous than he's ever been. I can't say that he necessarily radiated that or projected the tension, but he knows. I mean, he's not dumb, and he really won't. He doesn't sidestep the magnitude of the Michigan losses. He doesn't try to pretend, that didn't. He knows. He knows very well, and he's not going to try to fool a smart, extremely passionate fan base into thinking, those losses weren't that bad. They were that bad. They were absolutely that bad, and everyone knows it, so he's not even pretending about that. And I think the reaction of the program, the fans, the collective, and Day after last season illustrated that this is 100% all in. We must win it all. We absolutely have to beat Michigan. That's beyond question. But we have to also win the national championship. And so when you set the stakes that incredibly high, holy moly, there's a lot of tension that goes with that. And so it's 7-0 against Iowa at halftime, and that probably felt extremely uncomfortable, even though they were obviously the better team. And then they showed it completely in the second half, and that's who they are. And I do think there's another gear that they can hit as long as they just kind of free themselves and play. And at one point, he actually did say, I want the players, I want us to have fun while we're doing this. It's like, okay, but can you? It's the right thing to say. Can you do it? I don't know. We'll see. But, they're a very good team who've done everything they've needed to do, but you're right. Now it gets real.
He was like that, I thought, at Big Ten Media Day in July in Indianapolis. Ryan Day was in that kind of mode where you could tell, there was he was not as relaxed as maybe some of the other coaches there, like Brett Bielema, who's just walking around like typical Brett Bielema. But Ryan was, you could tell that there was a little bit of, I think there's just a lot of pressure. I think that's a pretty good pressure cooker right now there. You have a new president, a new athletic director, in around probably 18 to $20 million being spent on your football roster. At least that's what the athletic director said. So there's a lot of pressure there, and you've lost 3 times to Michigan, and you haven't won a championship yet. So all these things pile on top, and it does feel like it feels like national title or bust. And it probably shouldn't feel like that, because a lot of this is at the hands of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, and we've all seen what happens in college sports. We saw it this past weekend. But that's just the reality of it there. And as we all know, because we've spent time up there and covered games up there, Pat most recently, like that place is treated like a pro team. I mean, it's Columbus's professional team. That's how it's viewed. And so a lot of pressure on Ryan, maybe more pressure than any coach this year right now, outside of those who are on the realistic hot seat. Ryan feels like he's not necessarily going to get like fired, but if he doesn't win the national championship, but the pressure's in a way there that, I mean, how long do you take it, right? Like how long can you withstand that heat there without a championship?
So, like, I don't want this discussion to seem like we're picking on Ryan Day, because we're not, right? I kind of feel for him. They do treat it like a professional team.
Yeah.
Guess what? Pro teams lose, and the coach just laughs.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that went bad. Playoffs, right? We're on to Cincinnati. Like he's 61-8. Okay.
Yeah.
He's 41-3 in Big Ten play. The only team to beat them is Michigan. You look at his recruiting, like he goes and gets Jeremiah Smith and lands them. And yeah, they got a collective, and yeah, so don't the other schools trying to get the number 1 recruit in the country. Like, he is a phenomenal football coach. They play an exciting style. The idea that you could be under the gun with this record is completely unreasonable, yet kind of reasonable because it's college football. But I mean, at closed doors, he's got to be like laughing, like, screw this. What are we doing here? You try to do better. Like, these Michigan teams were really good. All of that. It's like, I think it's like, I just see these interviews. It looks like if he cracks a smile and is like, hey, we're having a good time. Like, the fan, he's nervous. Like, it has to be so serious. It's just I don't know. It's just something I'm watching. Like you said, media day, like even Nick Saban's up there cracking jokes. Right. Like, what coach was so like, even the most serious coach would be like having a pretty good time in the middle of July. And I think it's like, if he shows that he's enjoying it or things are good, it's like, I'm not taking these losses to Michigan with the deathly seriousness that I have to have. Like, you're not doing better than this. I know Urban won, 7 in a row against Michigan, but those Michigan teams, there were 2 close ones. The ball bounces Ohio State's way. Sometimes it's going to bounce the other way. He's doing everything you could possibly want. This team looks fantastic, and I just wonder if this poor. I mean, we're not going to feel too bad for Ryan Day.
Yeah,
as he returns to his mansion,
$11 million a year.
Yeah,
probably shouldn't feel.
But it just
bad.
is like, my gosh, this guy. It just looks so tense. I kind of just like, oh man, smile. It's all right.
Sports is supposed to be fun.
Like, I saw he was doing an interview with Joel Klatt, and I think they asked something about, like, what's the best part of being at Ohio State, and I actually can't remember his answer, but most of the time when you ask a coach what's the best part of being a college football coach, they talk about like, like, oh my God, the guys, the kids on the team are so funny. Like, I love hanging out with this. I love recruiting, meeting lots of people, all this stuff. And I think it's just more like, it was just, I can't remember the answer now, but it was this very serious answer. And I was just like, oh my Lord. Whew. Exhale.
Well,
So he goes into this game. This is not going to ruin the season. Whatever happens on Saturday night is not going to ruin the season. But I feel like if Oregon wins this game, it's going to be like, burn down the city. Oh my God, see? And it's like, holy cow. That's a hard way to operate.
Very hard way to operate. You know, to try to feel like you have to be perfect is, especially in the new era, in an 18-team league with some good additions and some harder travel. And you don't have to. You don't have to win every game now. You don't. So going to Oregon, this should be a really fun measuring stick for both schools. The winner takes a huge step towards punching their ticket to go into the playoffs, right? The loser, you're not out of it. You've now, you've narrowed your window maybe, and you've got to play well the rest of the way, but you're not out of it. So the thing is that Ohio State, yes, and that radiates from inside out and from outside in, I think, the seriousness and the urgency with this season. We've been there that's the stadium I've always thought walking in, where there's not quite menace in the air, but it's like, we are coming in here to win this game or else. And even at Alabama, I'm not sure I felt that. And even in LSU, there seemed to be a little bit more levity that goes with it. At Ohio State, boy, you're walking in there and it is, we are here to win or everything is misery. And I think that comes from the fan base, and it probably comes from the coach right now too.